Hey Don, this is Rebecca Lane, and I want to give you some feedback on your TED evaluation. So the way this is going to work is the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about your setup. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play your video. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pause it, and then I'm going to talk some, and then I'm going to play more of your video, pause, talk some. Might skip around. We're probably not going to watch your entire video together, and that is okay. All right, so first thing, I love that you are following the RISE model of feedback, and this is well done. Also, I did notice that you did this. I'm going to double check that you've got the annotation and stuff like that. I'll listen for the questions. I'll do that later. But I'm glad that you did that. I hope you had fun. All right, let's look at your setup. Okay, so the very first thing, I love that you found this blank wall. Nice job. You're easy to see. That's really well done. What I'd like to see you do more of, and let's see if you adjust this throughout. What I'd like to see you do more of is I'd like for you to open up your frame so that we can see more of you. So let's take a look at this video. So you see how you can see me from the bottom of my rib cage and there's space above the top of my head, and what this allows me to do is it allows me to use hand gestures. So ideally we want this to open up down to the bottom of our elbows, right? So it doesn't feel weird when we bring our elbows and when we bring our hands into the shot. So that's something that I would like to see from you. All right, so let's play this and see what you got. It's not playing. Hold on. I'm going to open it up on YouTube, see what we can do.
Hi, my name is Don Worton, and this is my TED Talk evaluation.
Okay, Don, the very first thing. Let's take a look at these directions. You see how you were supposed to develop a speaking outline for a 2 to 3 minute presentation. If you click on the link, you see here there's a link. You click on that, that takes you to this page, which talks about speech preparation. And the first thing it labels is introduction. Now, if you go back to the reading that you were supposed to do in your textbook, it talks about the very first thing that you should have in an introduction is your open with impact or your attention getter, and that could be a question, it could be a story, it could be a thought that is provoking, any of those things, but you want to make sure that that is the very first thing out of your mouth. What you just did here is you gave me your name and your topic, and that doesn't quite work for those requirements. Second thing I wanted to call your attention to is notice how we can see the reflection of your computer screen in your glasses. So I understand that this is kind of a logistics thing, but what happens is it gets in the way of your eyeballs. It makes it harder for me to see your eyes. So what I recommend is turn down the light on your screen. Now what that means is you might not be able to see your eyes. You personally, while you are speaking, you won't be able to see your screen quite as well. So what you'll have to do is you will have to give yourself notes and go ahead and use handwritten notes. This is going to work better for you in the long run anyway, because usually what I see is when people put notes on their screen, their eyes are looking at their screen a lot. It's easier for me as a listener if I see you look down at notes and look back up at me, and that kind of distinguishes what your look is doing. So it makes it really clear when you're being intentional about seeing me. Okay, so let's play a little bit more.
The presenter of my TED Talk was Brenda Brathwaite in Gaming for Understanding.
I love how you're adding dramatics to your voice. This is really nice. Work to make it even more sincere. So this is step one. You're adding variation, and it's amazing and excellent. So now work to make it feel spontaneous and spur of the moment. And so what that comes from is relaxing and relaxing into it. And what might also help is having another person on the other end of the camera that you're actually really for realsies speaking to. Because then what we do is we watch the other person's reaction, and that helps it look a little bit more spontaneous and sincere.
Or teaching useful lessons through the use of games.
So one of the things I'm seeing is your arm is up here, and it's probably manipulating your text, right? Your notes. So you want to make sure that your notes are in a way that you can see them all at the same time, or you've got note cards so you can just flip through them and you can have your hands in your lap. This looks kind of funky. So make sure that you're doing your best there.
Captures the audience through common ground and the successful use of slides in the background. Her proxemics are generally centered or off to the right.
Okay, so it kind of looks like you're reading here. And maybe it's because your computer's on a lower level. What I recommend, when you look at my setup over here, I've got a desk in front of me, and then I've got a cardboard box that's really tall, and then my computer is on top of this cardboard box, and I'm actually looking up at it. What that does is it opens up my eyes. And it brings my chin up, it opens up my entire body. And the reason we want to open up our bodies like that is because it makes us more approachable and more friendly looking. So, right now you've got your head tilted up, but your eyes are tilted down, and so you've got this contrast, and it kind of looks like you're looking down your nose at us. And that has a completely different message with body language, right? When people look down their nose, it's usually not a good thing. So you want to make sure that you're as approachable as possible. And I know that you can do that. It's just like these simple tweaks that you maybe haven't thought about.
Throughout the entire presentation, in order to direct the audience to the slides behind her, Brenda can...
So right now it kind of sounds like you're reading, and that reading sound usually comes from a lack of ebb and flow. And often it comes from creating a pattern. So patterns are similar to being monotone, but they're not exactly the same. So if we're monotone, we're sticking on the same pitch the entire time, and there's not a lot of pitch variation, and that makes it hard for us to find words to latch onto. So you're not monotone, but you've created a pattern that goes over the course of a sentence. When you create a pattern that goes over the course of a sentence or a phrase, we lose things to latch onto because the course of a sentence loses meaning. So what you want to do is you want to mix things up within your sentence. And what that might mean is that you talk in sentence fragments sometimes, and that is okay. And it might mean that you take a longer pause sometimes because maybe you have to find a word. And that's okay. Or maybe you're pausing because you're trying to read our face, you're waiting for our response. That's also okay. And those are all things that'll take you away from the sound of reading. Okay, so let's hear a little bit more.
Engaged with humor and several different slides available to the viewers. I think that
Okay, so you make a claim here. You say she kept the audience engaged with humor and slides. Cool. So what specific humor? Is there an example that really drew you in? Is there a specific picture that really was engaging? So once you make claims, you have to give me evidence to support those claims. And that, in this speech, comes from noting specific moments that spoke to you or specific moments that support that claim. And you want to explain those in detail. They don't have to be in like super duper detail. But so a moment, she keeps us engaged with humor. For example, after she made her very first point, which was talking about light bulbs, she made a joke. And this joke was specifically, she asked, how many TED Talk speakers does it take to screw in a light bulb? And everybody laughed. Okay, so I don't know exactly what her joke was, but you see how that was a specific example. Okay, so let's play a little bit more.
The commandment that Brenda followed the best would be, thou shalt reveal thy curiosity and thy passion. She did this by introducing something close to her heart, by what she does with her children, and how learning at school wasn't sinking in to the extent it should be.
Okay, so you're starting to get specific here with a specific example. Nice work. Let's move on to your dynamism.
Well, Ken uses words and stories and relies on visual aid and personal experience in order to keep the attention in the audience's heads, while Brenda relies on visual aid and personal experience in order to keep the attention of the crowd. While they're both very good talks, I can see why Ken Robinson is rated one of the best in HIT, rated a 5 in dynamism, because she feels very strongly in the education of her own children through her thoughts and ideas and beliefs.
Okay, so you gave her a 5 in dynamism, and then you said because she feels these things. Okay, so when we look back at the definition of dynamism, that's actually the delivery style, the presentation. So what makes her a dynamic speaker? Like you just said that she was not as good as Sir Ken Robinson based on delivery. And so what that would mean is probably her dynamism is not at a 5, right? So if you're going to put Sir Ken at a 5, she would be maybe a 4. And the reason that would be is because you're connecting more with Sir Ken Robinson than you are with your speaker. So go ahead and break that down. So the nonverbal delivery comes to eye contact. It comes to projection of confidence. It comes to how much the speaker is listening to the audience and responding spontaneously. It comes down to pitch variation, vocal variation, stuff like that. That's what makes a dynamic speaker. So make sure you're really understanding the concepts before you talk about them. Okay, Dawn, you've got a great start. I'm really looking forward to seeing how you grow. And let me know if you have questions. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.